Welcome back. Let's breathe deeply. And we're going to pause, we're going to slow right down. Let's bring ourselves right into this moment where we can be with God for just a few minutes as we journey through John chapter 1 right through the period of Advent. Fill your lungs with air and breathe out. God the Father, enfold us with your love. God the Son, surround us with your presence. God the Spirit, revitalize us with your power. Surround, enfold, revitalize us each day, each night. Let's quiet our hearts and become aware of God right here with us. Today we're looking at John 1 verse 15, and here we're talking about John the Baptist again. John testified concerning him. He cried out, saying, "This is the one I spoke about when I said, 'He who comes after me has surpassed me, because he was before me.'" It's an amazing thing to be able to speak about so confidently when the person that you're talking about is actually your first cousin. Just imagine who you may have a first cousin. Just imagine talking about your first cousin like this. Well, he's better than me. He came after me, but he was before me. So John is really referring to the fact that Jesus, although he was born into this world 6 months after John the Baptist, he existed before John ever existed. And so he's greater than John. John does make some incredibly bold statements about Jesus, and we're going to read a few of them in the next few days, actually. This is definitely one of them. And when he says things like this, it sounds as though it's coming from such a place of confidence that he's making this bold declaration. This is this Jesus. He existed from the beginning of time. He is greater than I, even though he came after me. John seemed to have such insight about someone, as I say, who was a close relative, and incredible faith in the way that he speaks. So it may be a little strange of me, but I find it strangely comforting that in other parts of the Bible that I'll just quote in a moment, we find a very different John the Baptist. And it appears that he wasn't always that really strong, confident, strident, full of faith individual, able to make bold proclamations about the things that he so strongly held to and believed in. In fact, near the end of John's life, he found himself in prison and facing almost certain death. And of course, he did die a gruesome death. And at that point, when he was pondering his days, I guess, he called 2 of his disciples and requested that they go to Jesus and ask Jesus this question: "Are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another?" I think it's quite a telling question. Face to face with death, John started questioning, what is this life all about? And what was my life about? And did I do the right things? And is this Jesus really the one that I've made such bold claims about? And he may have been saying, "I believe you are the one, Jesus. I think you are. And in this moment, I'm not 100% certain. Can you help me?" Not surprising that John was thinking like that when he was in prison, maybe. But there are some other cases where Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, the risen Christ, appeared to the remaining 11 disciples in another passage. And again, it says there of these 11 disciples, and when they saw him, they worshipped him. But some doubted. Maybe you could argue that that word doubted could have been translated, or some were hesitant. I quite like the fact, and as I say, I find it strangely comforting, that John the Baptist and even the 11 disciples who saw the risen Christ, in the middle of what was definitely faith, there was clearly doubt and questions. And in both of these incidents, I find it fascinating and again encouraging to see Jesus' response. Jesus doesn't chastise the questions or doesn't chastise the doubters, but he encourages them, he strengthens them, he talks gently to them, he talks tenderly to them. And quite amazingly, in the case of the disciples, not only does he do that, but he actually commissions them. He gives them a job to do and says, I want you to do this job, which actually would be a world-changing task. So as we pause today, let's contemplate two things. How does Jesus speak tenderly to you, to me, even in those times of doubts or questions? Maybe right now, allow him to speak to you in your times of doubt and question. And secondly, even though we doubt, what task does Jesus have for us today? Let's spend a minute with those couple of questions. Jesus, I'm so glad that when you describe your own heart, the only words you used to ever describe your own heart was that you were gentle and that you were lowly of heart. When Isaiah prophesied about you, he said that you won't break a bruised reed and that you won't snuff out a smouldering wick. You are gentle, you are kind, you restore, you bring us back to life. Even though there's only a little ember of flame left in our hearts sometimes, you are able to breathe on it and encourage it back to life. Thank you for your gentleness, Jesus. I pray you'll help us to hear your words of comfort, Lord. Give us ears to hear. And we want to say that we're ready to do the things that you have for us to do. Help us, embolden us, help us to hear what you have for us. Amen. Amen. See you tomorrow.